Hello and welcome to RPG Hangout, the podcast in which we both pick a game and talk about it. I'm your host, Leo, joined by my co-host, Nathan.
What's up?
So, today, our main games of discussion are Chrono Trigger and Fairy Fencer Dark Advent, right?
Dark Force Advent.
Yeah, Dark Force Advent, yes.
Or Advent Dark Force.
It's something like that. I got the key art for the thumbnail, so it's all good. It's going to be a hell of a long title for the podcast episode, but it's fun. Anywho, we do have quite a bit of news today because the Future Game Show happened and a lot of stuff happened, though not a whole lot super interesting really happened in it, but regardless, we'll save that for the end of news to kind of backload it. With that, we can go ahead and jump on into the news, right?
Yeah.
So the first bit of news that surprisingly did kind of happen very shortly after we recorded last week. So the new Suicide Squad game, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, has been delayed to 2023. Personally, I am looking forward to the new Suicide Squad game. It looks really good. I don't know.
I'm not that into it, so it's whatever for me.
Well, it's set in the Batman Arkham universe.
I mean, that's fine, but I haven't played the Batman Arkham universe, so...
Well, I mean, you started playing the first one, didn't you?
Yeah, but not enough to really know shit about it.
Yeah, fair enough.
I have them, and I should, but
yeah.
I won't.
I mean, I like the look of it. The whole concept is, you gotta kill the Justice League. So, it's neat. But, other than that, the next bit is something that you have close ties to. Ghostwire Tokyo released on Friday.
Oh, yeah.
I'm guessing you've dipped your toes all up in that.
Yep.
Oh, good. I'm guessing you'll want to save that for some other time to discuss.
Yep.
All right.
There's a lot to discuss for that game, so...
Ooh, I bet. I'm excited to hear about it, but just like me, we must leave the audience in anticipation.
I'll just say that all of last weekend I was absolutely obsessed.
Alright, okay, so this one's a bit weird. It came out of nowhere. It kind of makes a little bit of sense. It's kind of a logical way that they would go. GTA is releasing a subscription service called GTA Plus.
Oh, what the hell?
Yes. So you can sign up to it, and you'll get, every month, $500,000... access to cars, properties, RP and money boosts. It's weird, right?
That sounds terrible.
Yeah, I don't know why they decided to do that. Well, I do know, because they want to take the money machine that they have and fucking churn it into fucking overdrive, I guess.
Yeah.
It's a bit silly, and definitely screams of we're milking this cow until it dies. We don't care. We're getting the goddamn milk out of it. Moving on from that weirdness, I could go to a bit of related news, but we'll push that off and save it for later. On Monday, it was Kingdom Hearts' 20th anniversary. They're waiting, of course, until April 10th to do any of the announcements and big stuff, but then Monday was the anniversary. Funnily,
yeah, and I don't know about you, but on the day I played Kingdom Hearts just to celebrate it.
I did not. I should have, but I didn't.
I played number 3 and I got the 20th anniversary mod for it, so it was super awesome.
Oh, nice. What is that?
It changes the menu to gold, and then it changes the keyblade into gold, and it's just a 20th anniversary theme. That someone made for Kingdom Hearts in celebration. So, in celebration of me playing it for their celebration, I downloaded that and played it, and it was really cool.
Nice. I kept as close an eye as I could for any news that would come out around it, and sadly, nothing really. Nomura came out and said, "Yeah, sorry, I don't have anything for today. I'm too busy working on the art for the actual event that's happening on the 10th." And that's it. There was a bit of promotional art. Final Fantasy VII Remake did the same thing that what was it? Kingdom Hearts did for Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, dude. That artwork was so badass.
Yeah.
So cool.
And then supposedly in an episode of like The Wonderful World of Mickey Mouse on Disney Plus, there's a Keyblade in there.
Yeah, I saw the Gamers Joint video on that.
Yeah. Which I think is kind of neat. It's cute. Also, speaking of Kingdom Hearts and cute, they have released a line of glasses frames in Kingdom Hearts style.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh yeah, and they do look really cool. My favorite ones, I think, are the Axel glasses. They're nice and red. Like they have like a red inner lining with a kind of black outer, and it has his what are they called? The big circle things that eventually become his Keyblades.
Chakras?
Yeah, those are...
Or chakras, something like that.
Yeah, those are the hinge points. And with the Sora ones, it's the Kingdom Key. Then you also have Kairi, Riku. They have a lot of them. Like, it's each of the trios has a pair of glasses.
That's cool.
Yeah. Oh, and on that, the Ventus ones... Sorry, not Ventus. Ventus ones are pretty cool as well. Some anime news. Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel anime has gotten a couple of images released. It looks nice. I can't watch it until I've played all of the Trails of Cold Steel games, and that's going to be a while away.
Yeah.
And then, in related to last week's episode of this podcast, Legends of Mana is getting an anime. And now Legends of Mana is like one of the sequels to Adventures of Mana. I get those two games confused a lot. So much so that when I was getting the image for the thumbnail, I got the wrong one. Had to go back and get the right one for the thumbnail.
That's pretty on point news though.
Yeah, right? I was very surprised when I saw it pop up in my feed, and I was like, wow, that's very poignant. Like, the timing on that's like impeccable.
Yeah.
Also, surprisingly kind of poignant, there's a new One Piece game coming out called One Piece Odyssey.
Really? I didn't see that.
Some ads have been popping up for me. It looks very similar to World Seeker, at least in style. It is an RPG.
Ooh.
Yes. But other than that, I don't know. I don't know much about it. It looks nice, and that's all I can say about it.
Whoa. It actually does look really cool. I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah.
It's like... Damn.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's going to be like a... Like they're trying to make up for World Seeker because World Seeker didn't do that great.
It kind of looks like it. Like either they're trying to make up for World Seeker, or it might be a sequel to World Seeker. I don't know. Or it's just a completely new game, and they just wanted to do another one.
Or it's like the story of One Piece, but RPG style instead of warrior style.
Yeah. But I think
That'd
it
be
looks
cool.
nice. Something that you could probably cover sometime. It comes out this year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It comes out this year for all the relevant platforms.
I'll have to keep up with that then.
Yeah. But on sadder news for you, Breath of the Wild was delayed today, in fact, to spring of 2023.
Yeah, I saw.
Yeah. The final bit of news before we get into the future game show is they announced, luckily in time for this, the new PS Plus tiers and everything, because they are merging PS Plus and PS Now into one service, and it has 3 tiers. Did you hear about this?
I did not.
Yes. So it's been a rumor for a while, and they had kind of recently confirmed it and said that they would kind of provide more information. They announced it last week that they would provide more information this week. It is a 3-tiered service that merges the two together. It was... The code name was called Project Spartacus for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still going to be called PS Plus. They're just kind of taking the PS Now branding and shooting it in the backyard. The 3 tiers are called Essential.
Dude.
What?
Just the way you, like, I don't know, it was just hilarious. Like, took it to the backyard, shot it. Like,
I mean, it's kind of true, though. There's a bit of a stigma with the PS Now branding, and they want to get it gone.
It's just the way you said it was hilarious.
So yeah, the tiers are called Essential, which is basically your normal PS Plus subscription. That is, you get 2 free games a month. You get the online access to the service and everything. So pretty much what you're enjoying with PS Plus now. And that's $60 a year. Then the extra is $100 a year. That adds PS4 and PS5 games. So you get access to, it's like 700 PS4, PS5 games, something like that.
That's really cool.
Yeah. Then, and that's $100 a year. Those I think are download only, or at least you might have the option to stream them, but you wouldn't really want to, especially if you have bad internet.
Yeah.
Then the last one is the premium option, which is about $120 a year, and that adds classic games. So that's PS3 games through streaming only, PS1 games, PS2 games, and PSP games. And those you can download or stream.
Wow, PSP games.
Right? I was very surprised to see PSP games in there, but I think that's really cool. I don't know what the selection of games will be. They will be announcing that closer to launch, which is in June.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So, in June, they are going to start off by first launching it in Asian territories. Then they'll eventually bring it over to the United States and Europe, and then they'll kind of work it through elsewhere. For countries that don't have access to PlayStation Now currently, they are providing a slightly cheaper version of the premium option called PS Plus Deluxe. That means that you pretty much get access to the PS1, PS2, and PSP games for download, but you can't do the streaming because they don't have access to the streaming servers in those countries, though they are still working to integrate that in.
Yeah.
Then, if you currently have PS Now, when this service launches, you will be automatically upgraded to the premium option. So
the $60 one?
No, the premium option is the $120 one.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. If you are a PS Plus member, they didn't really mention it in the blog, but I'm assuming that you are automatically enrolled in the Essential program, which is the $60 one. So a bit of a disparity there, but they're obviously looking for upgrades and everything, which is understandable. I'll probably upgrade it when the time comes, because I want to see what the PS1, PS2, and PSP games are.
Yeah, me too. It's interesting.
Yeah, it looks good. I'm excited to see what happens. The biggest issue around the announcement of this and everything was people kept talking about how it's going to be the rival to Game Pass, when from the beginning that was not really their goal. Their goal isn't to make a full-on competitor to Game Pass, because Sony does not see it as viable to do day-and-date game releases.
Yeah.
Which is understandable. People trying to... I understand that they needed something to kind of make a catchy headline, but that tends to ruin a lot of the oomph of what this service is. It's a merging of two big services to make one massive service to try and help, get games to a lot of people. And you can now choose what level of gaming you want,
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I like it. It's kind of neat. A little bit expensive, but it's a fair price, I think. Because, it is pretty much paying for both of those services together in one. Because both of them have the $60 annual price tag normally. So them being merged together makes sense that it would be $120.
Yeah. I mean, the annual thing is already, what makes it pretty good.
Yeah. And something I did forget to write down as a bonus of the premium is you get access to game trials.
Oh.
Yeah, so interested in the game, you can download it, and then for a certain amount of time, you can play it. If you think you can beat the entire game in a certain amount of time, sometimes, you might be able to beat it in the trial. And with that, though, we can move on to the Future Games Show. So did you watch any of the Future Games Show?
No? I didn't have time.
That's fair. I actually ended up missing it as well, because I was running errands that day. And I only realized after it had aired, and I was like, God damn it. So I went back and I had to watch the VOD of it. And I'll tell you, there's a whole lot of not a lot there. At least, it was mostly like an indie showcase, which is good. Like, it's good to get indies, you know, a look out there, but it was kind of not super exciting, you know?
Yeah, no, I get that.
So the first game that was kind of announced was a game called The Time I Have Left. It's like a weird artsy game that I think there's that one movie that where they have the time that they have left to live on their arm, and it's kind of like that's the new currency, is you literally pay with your life kind of thing. It kind of seems like it's similar to that. Like there's a countdown of like how long they have left or something. I don't know. It looked weird and silly. Then they announced a game called Gun Jam, which is an interesting concept, but I think it would become very annoying very fast. It's a rhythm shooter.
How would that become annoying?
So think Guitar Hero, but at the same time you're playing a first-person shooter.
Yeah.
So
I mean, VR has several games like that.
Kind of. Like, so what you're doing is, in non-VR, you're running around, and where your crosshair normally is now a beat timer, and you can only shoot on rhythm to the song that's going. So I think it'd just be very chaotic and hard to focus on so many things at once, you know, running around an arena while trying to snap your fingers and shoot a gun.
Yeah.
But I do think it's an interesting concept at the very least. Then they announced a game called Turbo Golf Racing, which I could best describe as, think Rocket League, but golf racing.
Huh.
Yeah, so from what the trailer looked like, there's a long track, and you push your ball down it, and then you try and, well, essentially score a goal. It's weird. I don't know exactly how well it'll go. I don't think it's necessarily going to, you know, de-seat or dethrone Rocket League or anything. From the looks of it...
Probably not.
I couldn't tell if it's made by the same people or not. It didn't have one of those things where, like, oh, you know, made by the people that made Rocket League, or from the people that brought you Rocket League, or anything, so I'm guessing not. Oh, well. Then after that was a game called Flintlock: The Siege of Dawn. And it looks to be it's, how do I describe it? It looks like it was God of War, but with flintlock pistols. And I think you have a companion that's like a fox. So instead of a son, you have a dog.
But it's like God of War.
It has a similar-ish art style to the 2018 God of War.
God of War.
Yeah, God of War. And supposedly a lot of the theming around it is about killing gods. So
I'm gonna use my flintlock to kill some gods.
Exactly. Just fucking
puppy.
Yeah, it looked like it was like a Finnick fox or some kind of fox that accompanies you. It's cute, but
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, dark and gritty and whatnot. And you got your gun, and you're gonna go shoot a god in the face. Then after that is... Okay, so this one was also really weird. It's a game called Crime Site, which they kind of said it was like Among Us meets Clue meets... It's a ton of shit mashed together.
And sometimes that's not good.
It's weird. So basically what you are, the goal of it, is that you are pretty much the game pieces in two AI's game. So you are either being controlled by an AI Sherlock Holmes or an AI Moriarty. And it's a social deduction game where you're trying to kind of like, what's the game? Well, there's many of them. So like Secret Hitler, Werewolf at Midnight, I think is what it's called.
Mm-hmm.
But like all those card games where like there's a secret player, where they have a secret role, kind of thing. And in this case, it's you're going around, I guess, murdering people or something. I don't know, it seems interesting, but it also seems like a lot going on. Then they announced a game that I felt was oddly timed. A lot of things that came out recently, you know, like the fucking Legends of Mana anime, they announced a game called Midnight Ghost Hunt, which is it's another ghost hunting game similar to Phasmophobia.
Yeah.
Except for take that and then smash in prop hunt.
What the hell?
Yeah, so the ghosts can take over like objects, so they can like possess a chair and go running around as a chair. And then I think based on the trailer, you can depossess it and chuck it at a person.
That's kind of sick.
Yeah, it looks cool. It's just weirdly timed because, well, I mean, Phasmophobia came out like a year or so ago, but then that new Ghostbusters game was announced like last week.
And a lot of ghost stuff happening. Exactly.
It's the time of the ghost hunting immersion sims, I guess. But it looks fun. It comes out March 31st this year, so tomorrow. It comes out tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
At time of recording. So by the time this episode comes out, it's out now.
What's up?
Then it was announced that Death Stranding's coming to PC, or at least the director's cut is coming to PC. Because like watching it, all I could think was, didn't this already come out for PC?
I honestly thought it was.
I believe the basic version is. The director's cut isn't until actually today. It's out now.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So the director's cut adds in some more story stuff, kart racing if you want to do that. It adds in a lot of weird shit. But what do you expect from, a Kojima thing?
Yeah.
Then they announced Demo, Demeo, is getting a PC edition. So Demo is like a tabletop RPG adventuring thing.
Demo, what?
Yeah, Demeo. Yeah, so it's live action and gameplay came together for Demo PC edition, the tabletop adventure game where communicating is crucial. So it's a, what's the term? Cross-platform game. So you can play it on PC normally, you can play it in VR, sitting at the table kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's a tabletop game, essentially, but in computer.
It's not bad.
Yeah. Then they announced that Dorf Romantic is finally leaving early access. It's a cute little peaceful city builder.
Oh, I haven't even seen anything of that.
It's been in early access for like the better part of like a year or two now. Yeah. Early access games, they love to just sit there forever until they finally release. But yeah, it's like a tile-based city builder.
Huh.
Yeah. It's just one of those kind of chill games that you just kind of, you'll sit down and just relax while you play it. Then a game called Alterborn, and I'll be honest, when this started playing, that's when my eyes started kind of glazing over. Because at this point, it was a tabletop thing, then a nice peaceful thing, and then a game that's just another it's a third-person action shooter, and it just kind of didn't pique my interest much. They then did the Virtual Show Floor, which had 9 demos. Fuck me if I'm going to say anything about any of them. Like, one's a game called Cursed 2 Golf. It was like a platformer. It's just a bunch of indies. The demos were available right then and there. I think they're still available to play on Steam right now. Neat. That's all I'm saying about those demos. Then they did a game called Sengoku Dynasty. It actually looks kind of cool. It's set in feudal Japan, like a few games actually are lately. But you had to build and protect a village.
That sounds pretty cool.
Right? Then they announced Deliver Us Mars, which is a sequel to Deliver Us the Moon. That I've never played Deliver Us the Moon, but supposedly it's a cool spacey game, I guess. Then, okay, so this next game called Justice Sucks Recharged. It's where you're playing a stealth Roomba, and I could have...
Like, you're actually a Roomba?
You are a Roomba, yes. Yeah, the pitch that they have is that it's like if Solid Snake from the Metal Gear series was a Roomba. So...
Okay.
Yeah. But it's very similar to another game. I can't remember what it's called. It was pretty much something along the line of like Roomba or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And basically what you were doing was killing people that were invading your house and then like cleaning up the mess afterwards. Then they did a Team 17 showcase. It was just a bunch of games from the publisher Team 17.
Right.
Some of them looked kind of interesting, but they decided to do it in a montage, so my eyes glazed over. Hey, when you do these showcase things and you decide to do a fucking montage, my eyes are going to glaze over most of the time.
Yeah, it fucks with you.
Then there was a game called Songs of Conquest. To be honest, I remember very little about this, but according to this little blurb, it says it was a turn-based adventure powered by pixel art. So, cool, I guess. Then they did a new trailer for LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga. Very cute, very fun, looking forward to it, waiting every day for my thing to come out. But, you know. Next was another fucking montage called Ones to Watch, where they did a bunch of like indie games and whatnot. Once again, it was a fucking montage, so my eyes glazed over. Then they announced a game called The Cycle Frontier. I guess it's a survival shooter where players act as protectors on a hostile alien world. I honestly do not remember this being announced.
I don't know either.
Yeah. I do remember, however, this next one being announced because I thought that you might find it interesting as something to play. Because once again, it was something that we were discussing, at least related to something we were discussing. So there's a game called The Outbound Ghost, and it's supposed to be like Paper Mario meets Undertale. So it's like a little, it's an RPG with a paper-esque art style with, I guess, the humor similar to Undertale.
Yeah.
And I thought, hey, you know, that's neat. We were just talking about how, like, oh, maybe you could do the Paper Mario games and whatnot. But, yeah. That's coming to PC, PlayStation, and Xbox. Because obviously the Switch wouldn't touch it because it's kind of infringing on their deal. Then there was a game called This Means Warp, which is pretty much like FTL if it was slightly more 3D.
FTL?
FTL, Faster Than Light. It's the ship management sim where you roguelike, where you go through like a space map and come across encounters. Sometimes you have to fight stuff, so you have crew members that go to specific areas in your ship to power like weapons and doors and whatnot.
Oh, okay.
It's a fun game. I've played a decent amount of it. I'm terrible at it, but I played a decent amount. Let's see. Then they did a game called Forever Skies. Oh, yeah, that's what that... So, Forever Skies was a game that looked like it was Subnautica, but in the air. So, you pilot an airship that you can build more stuff onto. There's supposedly large creatures, and you venture down into the lower bit of atmosphere, which is like very clouded and whatnot. So you could kind of think of it like with Subnautica, how you can get like ships and whatnot, and you can build a base.
Kind of sounds terrifying.
Yeah, it definitely had a feel of like existential dread in the trailer, mixed with this feels oddly familiar with how it kind of seems like Subnautica, but you're piloting an airship instead of, you know, a water base.
Exactly.
Then they announced Alaskan Truck Simulator.
Ooh.
Yep, it's pretty much all in the title, isn't it? It's, I believe, made by the same people that did European Truck Simulator and American Truck Simulator. Now you get to go through the frozen wastes of Alaska.
I've always wanted to.
Yeah. Then there was a trailer for a game called Immortality, and I vaguely remember it just being weird. Oh, right. Yeah. Now I remember what it was. So it's, I'm guessing, it's like a FMV game. You know, it's all live action footage. And what it is you're trying to piece things together from the footage of 3 movies to, I guess, figure out what's up with this woman. Like this actress.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it seems kind of interesting. I'm probably never going to play it, but it definitely seems like a lot of work was put into it. They had to make 3 whole ass fucking movies for it. Let's see, where are we on the list of shit? We're close to the end.
Okay.
Imp of the Sun was announced. It's a Peruvian platformer. So, neat theming and whatnot, but it was kind of something that got a bit glazed over.
Yeah.
Then there's a game called Expedition Zero. It's a survival game that's actually out now, so neat. Then there was a game called Silt, which is a hand-drawn game that looked very similar to what are those games called? The one where you become a meatball at the end.
You become a meatball?
Yeah, where you like merge with a ton of people, and okay.
Inside?
Yeah, Inside and Limbo, except for hand drawn.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's called Silt. It looked cute, or creepy, depending on your perspective. Then they did a trailer for Vampire the Masquerade Swan Song. I guess they'll do anything to not release Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. Because they have this, which is it's an RPG, I guess, revolving around 3 characters that you switch between throughout the story.
Mm-hmm.
Then they also have, I can't remember what the other one's called, but it's pretty much a kind of like battle royale or hero shooter-esque game coming out. And mostly the only thing people want is Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 to come out. But they keep releasing all these new other things.
Yeah, that's really not what the people want.
Yeah, but overall, I will say that Swan Song does look interesting, at the very least. I do like the idea of, like, you have the 3 characters, and you're jumping between the narrative.
Yeah.
Then there was a game called The Cub. It's a post-apocalyptic platformer. And then they ended off on a game called Lego Brick Tales.
Oh, jeez.
Yes, so, think kind of like, what was it called? Besieged, where you have to, like, build a thing to solve a problem. So in Besieged, like, you'd build a cart that would go over the hill and avoid the mines, and then break down a wall, kind of thing. In this, you build, like, a helicopter so that you can get up a cliff, kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it looks cool. It's cute. It works with the whole Lego deal very well. It's a thing. And that was the Future Game Show.
Eventful.
Very eventful, but not a whole lot actually, to sink your teeth into,
Yeah.
But with that...
Like, nothing like crazy exciting.
Yeah, nothing crazy exciting. Some interesting tidbits, like the ones I found interesting, I thought Sengoku Dynasty was kind of cool. Vampire the Masquerade looked at least kind of interesting. Flintlock has potential. The Midnight Ghost Hunt is kind of cool.
Yeah.
But some of the trailers were also just, like, too long. Like that, the Midnight Ghost Hunt went on for a little bit too long because it just kept going. But it did look cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it had, like, a weird narrative thing going on with it that just was too long. They could have sped that up a little bit,
Yeah, no, I get it.
Okay, so with news finally over, let us transition into the main topic of today. That being Chrono Trigger and Fairy Fencer. We'll just call it Fairy Fencer from here. It's Fairy Fencer something. Advent Dark.
Well.
Whatever. Alright, so would you like to go first, my friend?
Sure.
Yeah.
I was only able to really get, like, 7 hours out of this game so far.
Oh, that's fine. I got technically 10 out of Chrono Trigger.
But, like, I have history with this game.
Yeah.
I played it, like, way when I first got my PS3. But I played the original Fairy Fencer. It wasn't, like, the remade one.
Yeah.
The remake is really almost pointless, is what I'm seeing, because literally, as far as I played, there's nothing new.
Fair.
But, I mean, one thing that pulled me into this game was the art style, which I think is, like, it's, like, one of my favorite art styles, which is Data Live. You know it.
I know the anime.
Yeah.
So you're talking mostly about the anime style?
Well, like, if you look up concept art for Data Live. The artist who makes the concept art is what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Like, do you know, like, those, like, Neptunia games?
Yeah.
Hyper Dimension it's the same art style as that.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that.
Which, like, I think is really cool. So that's really what pulled me in. But it was, like, around the time that the PS Vita first came out. And it was coming out for the PS Vita, and I tried to get it for the PS Vita, but I couldn't. So I just got it for the PS3 instead.
Probably an overall better choice anyway.
Yeah, but, like, I was, like, all up on that PS Vita hype.
Yeah, no, I get that. Though a lot of times, sadly, the Vita version of the game gets pared back a lot.
Yeah. But there's really nothing to this game, story-wise.
Really?
Your main character is a complete fucking asshole, though. Like, you kind of warm up to him. His name is Fang. But he's like one of those characters where it's like, oh, I want nothing to do with people. Like, I just want peace and quiet. Like, fuck you. I'm always hungry. Like, I want food all the time.
Okay.
like those kinds of characters. I mean, he's pretty cool, though. But it's like, it's turn-based. It's all turn-based. It's basically a, what you call it? Fuck, what do you call it?
Strategy game?
No. Oh my god, what? It's escaping. It's like, it's where it's just text.
Oh, visual novel.
Yeah, it's half visual novel, half somewhat battle. Like, you have, like, these dungeons that you go into, but outside of the dungeon, it's all visual novel. Like, you can't just walk around places.
Okay. So, if they made Persona worse.
Yes. Like, if they made Persona to where you can't actually go into the shops and, like, walk around town and meet people.
Yeah.
That's what this is.
Okay.
And all the dungeons are recycled.
Oh, that's...
Yeah. So, like, I mean, like, the first couple of dungeons, you're like, yeah, okay, this is different. This is nice. And then, like, somewhere in the game, you find the same dungeon, but with a different color scheme, and you're like,
You know,
and then it just keeps happening, and you start getting sick of running around the same dungeons, because in RPGs, you run around, you find the treasures, all that shit. But it starts to get kind of annoying, because it's all just the same shit, just a different color scheme, or, like, different elemental theme or whatever, you know?
Yeah, so it kind of reminds me of, like, Dark Cloud a little bit. And
Did Dark Cloud recycle dungeons like that?
So Dark Cloud, the dungeons are randomly generated. So you would think that it being randomly generated would make it super fresh every time, but
yeah,
it has to work within limitations. So a lot of times you're coming across the exact same elements within each floor. So you'll go through and you're like, this is the fountain room where I can kill some things and then maybe take a break. Oh, this is the room with a mine cart in it. If I clear out the room and then use a special item, I can use the mine cart to go to an even harder dungeon, kind of thing. But it's one of those things where you go through the dungeon so much, like you have to go through the dungeon so much, that it definitely, like, starts to, you know, your eyes start to glaze over and you start to just, like, dread having to go back into the dungeon.
Yeah, that's how it kind of got for me. Like, the story was different. It was going on. It was okay. The English voice acting was absolute crap. So if you ever play it in Japanese.
Yeah, I could see that.
I mean, it's mostly a visual novel, so you're reading anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, after a while, like, I saw, like, the thumbnail for the dungeon before going into it, and I'm like, oh, it's the same fucking shit, and I dreaded going into it, but I was like, I gotta want to, like, try and get pretty far into it.
Yeah.
Back when I first played it on the PS3, like, I actually beat it, and
what?
I remember it being, like, a pretty good game, but it's one of those games that has, like, 10 different endings. And back then, I just didn't have time to do that.
Yeah.
And I definitely don't have time to do that now. Unless I'm, like, really, really invested into the game.
Yeah, I get that. And I understand that currently your main investment is not Fairy Fencer.
Yeah, I mean, like, don't get me wrong. Like, I was playing Fairy Fencer over the week, but it was mostly the other game. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I absolutely get that. Like once you told me that you were getting it, like you pre-ordered it, I was like, yeah, he's gonna spend some good time with that.
Yeah.
In fact, it was at the point where, as I was sitting here, I stopped and I was like, wait a second. He said that he was getting it. Does that mean that he's wanting to switch it to that for this week? Do I need to download other things for the thumbnails?
No, because the plan was to do Fairy Fencer now, and then
Yeah.
that gives me plenty of time to talk about Ghostwire in the next episode.
Yes.
So, but anyway, the story's kind of weird. It's this like dark demon guy and then a goddess that, you know, in ancient times they battled, and then the goddess saved the world, but both of them were like frozen in place in like forever combat, basically.
Yeah.
And they have like a bunch of weapons stabbed into them for some reason.
Because
and these are called Furies.
it's called what again?
They're called Furies.
Furies. Okay.
Yeah, not fairies, but Furies.
Yeah, that's weird.
But as the game progresses, you collect these Furies, because that's the whole premise of the game. You collect 100 Furies to release either the Vile God or the Goddess.
Okay.
And that's your first choice in endings. You could either go Vile God, which I'm pretty sure is the bad ending, and then Goddess, which is the good ending.
I think it's all about your perspective.
Yeah, the Goddess is what I went for first, and I just got the normal ending. But so you have to like level up and get these weapons out of here, but each of these weapons has a sorry.
Huh?
My cat just like fucking knocked shit over.
Yeah, it happens.
But yeah, so you collect these, and then there's like creatures inside of them called fairies.
Right.
And you have to be like a chosen one to use these weapons, and that's what the main character finds out. And that's like that's how the whole thing starts, is like you pick one up, like you pull it out of a stone basically, like fucking King Arthur. So you like meet your fairy, you collect these fairies, it's all your equipment and shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the story. You just go to these recycled dungeons and meet your party members, and that's about it.
Yeah. So you said it's turn-based. So turn-based how? So like Final Fantasy turn-based or Pokemon turn-based, or I guess
it's like Final Fantasy turn-based. Like you have like your attack, your magic, your defense, stuff like that.
Okay. So,
but you can move around in the field. So like you could like walk behind an enemy, which you would get a preemptive strike for.
So do you have to, when you're moving around the enemy, like does that take up your turn, or can you?
No, you can move in a certain radius and still be able to attack or whatever.
Okay, so I don't think you've tried out that demo yet, but so it's kind of like Monarch then.
Yeah, no, I haven't tried that demo yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, so each turn you can move and attack, but as you level up, you can actually upgrade it to where you can have more turns than one turn, if that makes sense.
No, it kind of makes some sense.
Like
kind of like extra actions in D&D.
Yeah, extra actions is exactly what it is. Like you can attack, and then if you have it upgraded, you can attack twice or 3 times in one turn.
Yeah. Okay.
And then that's how you get stronger, basically. But it's nothing too fancy. It's just your typical like attack, magic, skills, and then you can have, I think, up to 5 party members, including you. So the battles get pretty fucking huge.
Nice. So do the fairies at all affect battle, or are they just kind of set dressing?
Yeah. So fairies, you have like your main fairy, which is like part of the story. It's like a character you fight with.
Yeah.
But then you have just like side fairies that you collect along the way from like side quests and stuff. And these you can equip to your current fury, and it just gives you stat boosts basically.
Okay. I can kind of.
So each one has their own different stat boost and element. Like the main character, he's a fire user, so if you find fire fairies, you can equip fire fairies to his weapon and enhance his like abilities that way.
Okay, so it's kind of a simpler version of Final Fantasy VIII's junctioning system.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Just trying to get my head wrapped around the ideas. Because, like, when you mentioned that radius thing, it reminded me heavily of the demo for Monarch, because in that it's turn-based as well, and when a character is selected, they have a big old circle around them, and that's how far they can move. And then afterwards, you can select an attack, and that attack will have like a cone of influence, or depending on what kind of attack it is, you know, a certain number of things that if you can line it up perfectly, you can hit multiple people, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's in this game.
Yeah, so there you go. So
like you have that moving radius, you can move within that radius if there's enemies in there, and then you click attack, and then your attack has a radius, and then you can either hit 2 enemies or you can hit an enemy from behind, stuff like that.
Yeah, if you enjoyed that combat system, then you would like Monarch, actually.
Yeah, I mean, if you look past like
the edginess,
the edgy. Yeah, I mean, dude, the characters are cringe. But I played this back in like fucking like 2013. So like I was young, I was like super into anime, and this game was fucking awesome, and it was awesome from what I remember. But after playing so many games since then, like I now know that they recycled these dungeons, so it's kind of boring.
Yeah,
and
there's a lot of things that when you're younger you can forgive, like. When you were an edgelord, you're willing to, forgive the weird edgelordiness of the game.
Yeah.
And then a lot of times when you're a kid, you kind of go blind to super long, repetitive dungeons. Except for when it's super egregious and you're just like,
But I would say, like, overall, the combat is actually pretty fun. Like, once you really get into it and you get a bigger party and you got more options and stuff like that. But the other terrible thing is the enemies are recycled as well.
Yeah.
so besides bosses, all the plain enemies, it's just boring as hell.
I can see that. That I think is a pattern with a lot of RPGs sometimes, sadly. Is that a lot of times they'll just do palette swaps.
Yeah, like that's one thing I have noticed with I'll talk about it now, but it's just like a small thing. Tales of Arise. They recycle enemies a lot in that game.
Yes, they do. I will agree with that.
For Tales games, they normally don't do that. So that's one downfall that I had with that game.
Well, since we're on this slight Tales of Arise thing, there's a lot of things I found a little bit odd and annoying about Tales of Arise that we'll probably get to when we eventually talk about it.
Yeah,
but
I still have to beat it, so...
Yes, technically so do I. But that's your game to talk about down the line.
Yeah.
But
basically,
I have
like,
complaints too.
just like pet peeves of mine is when dungeons are recycled too much. It's okay to recycle it a little bit to save some money or budget or whatever.
Oh yeah.
But when it's like constantly like you get this dungeon, a different dungeon, and then immediately after that dungeon, it's the previous dungeon before the previous dungeon, but just different colored.
Yeah.
You know? And it's just that consistently throughout the game, and nothing has changed. Nothing is new.
Yeah.
Just this, like, it just gets tiring. It's boring.
You know, when that's the main part of your game, it's a bad thing to do that. Oh, it kind of reminds me of, I guess to an extent, Monster Hunter, but like the God Eater games, where you're you're running through very samey dungeons a lot of the time.
Well, it's like mission based, but each mission is basically in the same area all the goddamn time.
Yeah, and when you're doing that for like some upwards of like 20 to 30 hours, that can be very frustrating.
Exactly.
Let's see. I guess that's a good. Is there anything else that you'd like to mention?
No, I mean not really. I just think like I said, like the character style is really cool. The girls are pretty cool.
Does anything change when you like change the armor or anything?
Yeah, the appearance of your characters actually changes.
Oh, that's nice. I do like it when a game does that.
But that's only for certain equipment. You have like main equipment, and then you have basic equipment. Basic equipment doesn't change anything; it just ups your stats. Main equipment does change your stuff.
Okay. Weird.
Yeah, other than that, like playing it again, I really don't think I'm gonna beat it again. Also, if you ever get it, don't get it on the Switch. It is buggy as shit.
I don't think I would, yeah. Well,
Like,
again, I don't have a Switch, but
I think that's some of my problem is like I was in the dungeons and running around, and it was just like it was like freezing. It was super slow. The frame rate was just terrible.
yeah, I think that happens a lot with Switch ports, sadly.
And like I did not remember it being that way, which it wasn't on the PS3. It was like nice and smooth, and
Yeah.
that's about it though.
Yeah. So would you recommend it? Like, do you think that it's good enough, even with the, repetitive dungeons and super cringe characters? Do you think it's good enough to recommend?
I mean, unfortunately, I really don't think so.
No?
Like, knowing you and knowing how this game is, like, after playing it, like, I could definitely see you getting bored of it very fast.
True. Yeah,
and
you're
not picking it up again for a long time. And then you're like, man, like, I
Okay.
forgot about that game.
And, well, to be fair, I put down games for very long times that I love as well.
Yeah.
It
Well,
took
no,
me-
that's exactly it.
Yeah. It took me 8 years to beat Kingdom Hearts 1, and it took me 3.5 years to beat Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky as well. So, I set games that I love down too.
Yeah. So my rating for this game is the art style is really cool.
Mm.
A lot of the combat is good. The story's kind of bland, and they recycle a lot of shit, which it just makes it not very enticing to continue on.
So, I guess, what would you say we'll say the irony factor or the ability to shit on it factor? Can you play the game, like, say you and a buddy sit down, play through the game, just making fun of it the entire time? Do you think that it could do that?
Yeah, no, definitely. Like, if you saw some of the shit that these people are saying and, like, some of the stuff that happens, like, we could definitely make fun of it.
Oh, yeah. So that could be a fun thing to do sometime. Just do it on stream.
Yeah, but you could also, like, see, like, where the creators were coming from with this game. So
Yeah.
And for its time, it was really cool. Like, I played it when it came out. It was really cool.
Yeah.
But playing it now hasn't really aged well.
Yeah, that's like, look at Darksiders and shit. A lot of times you look back at it and you're like, that didn't quite age well with how cringe it is. All right.
That's all for me.
So I guess we can move on to Chrono Trigger. Again, yeah, so the game I did this week was Chrono Trigger. I actually streamed everything that I've played so far on my channel, on Twitch. I got about 10 hours in to it. I hit a point where I kept dying to the boss, and the guide I was looking at, it says that you need to use, like, the mid tonics, which is like the, I guess, Kingdom Hearts equivalent of a high potion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Tonic?
Yeah, so potions in Chrono Trigger are called tonics. Ethers are ethers, right? Revives are revives. For some reason, they just decided to call tonics, or potions, tonics. To each their own.
They didn't want to be too original.
Right? But yeah, so the recommended thing was mid tonics, and I was completely out, and I was very fastly running out of main tonics.
Mm-hmm.
So at the final boss of this dungeon, I had to turn around, walk all the way through the hour-long dungeon to get out of the fucking castle so I could go to town and buy a shit ton of tonics. And then I had to hoof it back. But that's completely my fault for just kind of continuing the story instead of stopping by the town to, re-up my supplies. So, whoops. Anyway, so with that kind of out of the way, what are your questions?
Well, I don't know. What's it about? Like, what kind of RPG is it?
So it's kind of your classic kind of RPG. It is one of the classics, or one of the quintessential pillars of RPG. A lot of people love this game. It is turn-based, though it uses an ATB system. If you want, you can have it be wait or ATB, or they call it just active.
Right.
The story is fairly linear, though it has some branching points. It's one of the RPGs where it has side quests, but you don't fully know how to get the side quests.
it doesn't tell you, really. You just kind of have to find it.
Pretty much. Like, you'll come across, say, a guy who's talking to another guy about a thing. And then you can kind of see about following up that information and seeing what's happening. Or you can just completely ignore it and move on. So,
okay.
So it's kind of very, like, D&D-esque thing. Like, do you follow up on this bit of information? No? Okay. If you ever want to do it again, you'll have to remember where it is. So, the maps are also very small. There's no overworld attacking, so you can journey the overworld safe. So the story, you are Chrono, or whatever the hell you want to name him, as long as it's about 5 letters. Yeah.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah.
I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, oh, you get to name. Okay.
Yeah, you can name the characters. It has that very fun thing of when you say bump into a character, they're like, and you can call me, and then pause for fill in name, and then go. But yeah, so the story is you are Chrono. You are woken up by your mother and told, go enjoy the Millennium Fair. And you go. You're a silent protagonist, so you don't really say anything. So
you go. And
exactly.
Then you're there.
Yeah, you just leave, you go to the fair, and then you can look around, see all the, oohs and ahs happening. You move on to the next screen, and you bump into Meryl, or whatever the hell you want to name her.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens at the fair is very important, but at the same time not important at all. So, the very first choice that you make in the game comes back to bite you in the ass royally. So you bump into her, literally, knocking her down and you down, and it sends her pendant flying. And she'll stand up and start looking around, for her pendant.
Yeah.
So you can go grab her pendant and give it back to her. Of course, you are also given the choice to not give it back to her, so there's that. But the true first choice that you might not have noticed is that you should have checked on her first. Gone up to her and made sure she was okay. Otherwise, whoopsie doodle, you fucked up.
Uh-oh.
And you grabbed the pendant first. And then there's a few other things that you can do throughout the fair, because she'll want to tag along with you, and you'll just go bumbling about the fair together.
Yeah.
One of the things you can come across is a little girl crying because her cat is missing. Literally, Yeah, the other side of the screen is her cat.
I can't see my cat anywhere.
Well, to be fair, it's technically across a walkway and, hidden by a stall. I couldn't figure out how to get... I knew I had to get the cat to her, but I couldn't remember how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just like, oh well, you're not getting your cat. So you can, again, there's a lot of things that you could do at the fair, like fight a robot for a bit, but the main reason that you're there is to see Luca, or whatever the hell you name her. Actually, I don't think you can rename her. No, you can. It's one of the options at the very beginning of the game. But you're going to see Luca's in New Invention.
Mm-hmm.
So you go and visit her, and she has made a teleporter. Now, she's, your stereotypical, crackpot inventor. A lot of her inventions go wrong kind of thing.
Yeah.
But this actually works. You step up on the pad, because you're the only one actually willing to step up on this fucking huge mechanical machine, and you get teleported from one side of this clearing to the other. Ta-da. Then Meryl, full of excitement, also hops on the pad and says, me next. And as the machine starts booting up, it reacts to her pendant, opens up a portal, and sucks her in.
Bye-bye.
Exactly. And it leaves her pendant behind. Chrono then grabs the pendant and follows suit to, try to save her.
Mm-hmm.
You end up 400 years in the past, in the same location. You have to work your way through, and as you go through the town, you hear them talking about, oh, the queen that went missing a bit, a while ago, supposedly they found her. Cool. We don't have to worry about that anymore. So then you go to the castle to see what's happening. And the guards are at first like, what the fuck are you doing here? Get the fuck out. And then they're stopped by the queen saying, nah, it's cool. He's a friend. And they're like, okay. And just let you in. Turns out they mistook her, Meryl, for the queen, and have called off their search for the queen. And as you're talking to her, she fucking glows and then pops out of existence. because
This erupts.
pretty much, yeah. She's related. She is the Meryl is the princess of your time, and because they stopped their search for the actual queen of their time, the line of succession technically just fucking ends because the old queen died. So you have to continue the search and find the queen, but luckily she's literally next door in the chapel, being, harassed by monsters and shit, of course. So you go, save her, come across a frog that you can name, and the default name for him is just Frog, which I think is mean. So I renamed him Frank in my playthrough.
So not much different, but at least it's a name.
Okay, so that's the way I like to do names in
Frog. Frank the Froggy.
Well, so I just think it would be a very dick move. Like, here's this frog man. What will we call him?
Frog. Yeah.
And the thing is, that motherfucker has, 3 names. It's weird. Anyway. So you come across him, he helps you to save the queen and everything, and then you fuck off, and then he fucks off.
Fair.
Yeah. And you go back to your time, in which you are promptly arrested for kidnapping the princess.
Damn, son.
Yes. You are then put on trial, and that's where the things that you did during the fair kind of come back to bite you in the ass. You can theoretically get off, but the Chancellor, regardless, will sentence you to be executed. For some reason.
Mm-hmm.
So, you're locked up in prison. You annoy the guards so much that they come to beat the shit out of you. Then you beat the shit out of them and escape. You run your way through the prison and are then confronted by a dragon tank. Or I like to call it, a drink. Or tank. You kill a dragon tank, and escape the prison. And then, as you're escaping, Meryl joins you, and you all leave and find a random time portal in the woods, jump into it, and end up in the future.
These people are brave.
Well, they were kind of cornered at the time, so they had no choice but to hop into random time portal that could possibly kill them.
Yeah, I mean, in reality, it'd be either die normally or die sporadically in this weird-ass thing that shouldn't exist.
Exactly.
So they're let's go out in a ball of fury.
Exactly.
And whoop.
Now you're in the future. 1,000 years in the future, where shit's fucked. So, you start, doddering around the future. You come across these domes where people are having a shit one, man. There's
just not a good time.
It is not a good time. The only way that they are really sustaining themselves is by these enertrons. They're like sleep pods that almost instantly, they give you full health, full MP, but you're still hungry. And if those fail, you're fucked. So, you're told that the dome that you're currently at does not have food, though one on the other side of a lab should. So you journey over to that lab. You get to that lab, and they're like, yeah, so we haven't been able to get to our food because robots in the basement.
Yeah.
So you're like, okay, we'll take a look. And they're like, oh yeah, by the way, we sent someone down there. He hasn't been back in a while. And everyone we send down there dies. So have fun. So you journey down there, and you come across the food store and a dead guy. And you find that all the food has been rotted. But hey, there's some seeds. So
Huzzah.
then you go, yeah, so huzzah. You journey your way back out, give them the seeds, and tell them, yeah, sorry, man, dude's dead, food's gone, have some seeds. Good luck.
You're on your own.
Pretty much. But as you were kind of going through that facility, you also came across a recording about how the world got so fucked. One, it directs you towards a dome called the Proto-Dome, and then it plays a video recording of 1999, in which it shows one of the domes, and then an earthquake, and out of the ground comes a being that just starts fucking shit up. And the being's called Lavos. It looks like a sea anemone.
Mm-hmm.
At least I think it's a sea anemone. The spiky things. Well, we'll go with that.
Yeah, I don't really know.
Ah, no, sea urchin. That's it.
Oh.
Yeah. It looks a bit like a sea urchin, just kind of coming out of the ground and then destroying shit. So you work your way over to the Protodome, which is where the next portal is supposed to be. You work your way over there. You come across a robot who is like, yeah, so to open the door where this portal's supposed to be, you got to go to a factory to turn it on, but it'll only run for a brief moment, so someone needs to stay here to open the door. But you guys need me to go with you, so just so you know. And of course, you can name the robot. If you go with the default name, his name is Robo. So clever.
These names, man.
Yeah, so I called him Robert. Yeah. I was going to call him Robert. Well, I was going to name him Robert, but you're only given 5 letters.
Mm-hmm.
So it ended up being Robet. So Robert was his name.
It's very nice.
Yeah. So you go to the factory, power up the door. Robert got the shit kicked out of him by other robots. So you drag him ever so slowly back to the other factory and journey on your way. I did forget to mention that there was... so to get between the one dome and the Protodome, there's it's like Lab 63 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the elder of the one dome is just like, here, have keys to this bike. It should still run. I used to ride it when I was younger. And you just kind of go, okay, sure. And you go to the lab, and indeed there is a bike. You get accosted by some robots, but this cool biker robot comes up and is just like, I'll race ya. So you then do a racing minigame against a robot biker.
That's wild.
Yeah, kind of think it's kind of like the racing minigame in Final Fantasy VII Remake against that one guy that does all those cool sweet flips on his bike.
Yeah, that's kind of frustrating.
Except for without the cool sweet flips, he just kind of lightly bumps in front of you.
He's just steadily going.
Yeah, pretty much. It's kind of a tug of war kind of thing, and he permits you 3 nitro boosts because he's so generous. Anyway, so you then take that time portal out, and you end up at the end of time because...
So nothing. There's nothing there.
Pretty much. It's like a void with a gated off area with beams of light that can take you to different time periods. It's your hub, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
You talk to an old guy that's like, yeah, something's fucking with the time-space continuum. Don't know
Yo,
what.
This shit's whack.
Pretty much. He's like, more visitors? How weird. Fucking... You can only have a party of 3 people, so someone will have to stay here.
And for the end of the time, this place has a lot of visitors.
Pretty much, yeah. He's like, yes, something's going wrong, and you'll just end up at the place of least resistance, and that's here. So you can only take 3 people at a time. So the max party is 3. And then as you're about to leave, he's like, "Well, hold up." And you go talk to him. He's like, "Go to the room behind me, learn some magic from the fucking weird ass thing in there.
Get learned, kids."
Exactly. And his secret to learning magic is you have to go around the room clockwise 3 times and then talk to him. And
Just
then
a
he's
silly
like,
old man.
yeah, and he's like, fucking magic. And now you have the power of elemental magic.
You're dizzy now, right? That's the power of the wind.
Exactly. So you go back to your normal time, but you end up in a weird, a monster village. The monsters from 400 years ago no longer are aggressive. They just kind of hang about now.
Mm-hmm.
And they have their own village and everything. So you chat with them. They're like, yeah, you should talk to the old guy down the way if you want. Careful, not everyone's super accepting of humans still, because 400-year-old grudge kind of puts a damper on relations.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah. So you leave the town and you go talk to an old guy, and he pretty much says, yeah, I mean, here's some weapons if you would like to buy them. Enjoy. Something wizard thing.
Magic.
Well, so you kind of eavesdrop on a conversation where they're like, fucking humans and shit suck. Basically, they say that the guy that controlled or led the monsters 400 years ago, he is the one that summoned Lavos. Mm-hmm. So our then running theory at that time is kill the wizard? Yeah, sure, let's try that.
Let's kill the fucking wizard.
Yeah, because the idea is, we don't want that horrible future to, happen. So kill a wizard? Let's give it a shot. So you travel back 400 years again to find, things aren't quite the way we left it anymore. So what had happened is the king got his shit rocked, but lo and behold, a hero has come forth. And from every report, it's a fucking kid. And they sent the kid into enemy territory to find a sword. So you kind of bumble about, trying to pick up any information you can about what the hell's going on. You find out that there's this legendary sword called the Masamune. That is the sword that is used to kill the wizard. Mm-hmm. There's a kid came forth with the hero medal, so he must be the hero of legend returned, and he is the one who needs to get the sword, kill the wizard, and he's like 12. So
he's not really qualified for this.
He's not really qualified. So you bumble around and you find Frank, all disheartened and sad. You tell him that the king got his shit rocked, and he's like, fuck. Oh well, I'm not the hero, I can't do shit about it.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, well, and he's like, I don't have the medal, I don't have the sword, I can't do shit. And you're like, fine. So you go to where the sword should be, and you bump into the kid as you're going through, and he's absolutely getting his shit rocked. Like, he's getting chased down by trolls and everything, and you just kind of ignore him as he fucks off, and you go through, get the sword, and it turns out sword's broken. So it's only a bit of a sword. You had to fight sword spirits to get it, but it's only a bit of a sword.
Right.
You work your way back out. Actually, no, they chuck you out of the mountain. Like,
I like the little correction there. Actually, no, they can throw you.
They do. Like, so you get the bit of sword, and they're like, okay, we will carry you out on the wind. And then it goes to the world map, and, like, you get ejected out of the mountain part of the map.
What the hell?
Yeah. So, newly bit of sword in hand, you go back to Frank, and you're like, hey, look at this. And he's like, okay. And he, like, leaves. And then you dig through his shit, and you find, he actually has the hilt of the sword.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason. So you're like, okay, cool, we have 2 bits of sword. We need the rest. So you have to go back to your normal time, because it had the the name of the old guy that was at the base of the mountain by the monster village.
Yeah.
So you go back to your time, 400 years in the future, for some reason. Go talk to him. He's like, yeah, don't know how the fuck you got that, but yeah, I know the sword. I can fix it. But you need this very specific stone that is no longer around, but used to be used as currency at one point. So go do that. You go talk to the old guy at the end of time, and he's like, yeah, you can find that stone in prehistoric times. So, Ooga Booga, go back to the past. You do so, and come across new party member number, 5, and she has the stone. Come back to the village and help us. You go to the village, have a bit of a party, a bit of a drinking contest against her, and she gives you the stone. You guys pass out after too much soup, and you wake up, your shit's gone.
Gotcha.
Well, you go and talk to her, and she's like, it's the reptile people that were fighting, the lizard people. And you go, okay, so I guess we'll go fuck up the lizard people and get our shit back, because they stole our gate key, which is the thing that we use to travel through time.
Right.
You go to the maze, and you find out it wasn't the lizard people that stole it. It was her jealous boyfriend. He got jealous that she was getting cozy with Chrono, and stole his shit.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah, and then she's like, you fucking idiot. Yeah, he's cool, but I like you best. And he's like, sorry. I learned my lesson.
It won't happen again.
Well, yeah. And he's like, yeah, I'll try to be better. And then we're like, it's cool, just give us back our shit. And he's like, yeah, sorry, the lizard people took it. And you're like, god damn it. So you journey through the maze, to fuck up some lizard people.
Nice.
Get all the way through, fuck up some lizard people, journey all the way back, and then you fuck off with the stone that you acquired. I did have to do a little bit of grinding in that area because for that section of the game, the trading system becomes weird. You have to trade in petals and fangs and horns and shit, and you need like a specific combination of those things to get enough items for everyone.
What the hell?
It's annoying. But anywho, with all the bits that you needed acquired, you journey back to your time, talk to the sword guy. Sword guy is like, cool, I'm not gonna ask. Because he's like, how did you get the sword? How did you get the stone? You know what, never mind. I don't want to know.
It kind of rhymed.
Exactly. Because I can fucking spit bars sometimes.
Yo, catch my bars, man.
So, him and Luca go down to the basement to make a sword. Sword gets made. Then you go back to the past, present it to Frank. Frank gets all pensive and like, let me think about it. And then a ton of flashbacks happen that reveal... So ever since you've re-arrived in the year 600, everyone's fucking begging on about this guy named Citus.
Right.
Like, literally, the main takeaway I had from most of the conversations I came across is, who the fuck is Citus? Like, everyone's talking about him. Who the fuck is he?
Yeah.
He is the previous hero of legend. He was just like a himbo jock guy that's like, I'm going to join the army, and he got really good at it. And people loved him. He was a great hero. He set off on a journey to get the hero's medal, and he took his squire Glenn with him, and he fucking died.
He dipped.
So he gets the hero medal from the frog person with his trusty guy Glenn and some third person that they never fucking mention. They show it in the flashback. They never mention who the third person is. They just gloss over it. Anywho, so he gets the medal, but then he gets beaten up by the wizard and his fat friend, and gets absolutely obliterated. He tells Glenn to run before he turns to ash and fire. Glenn, not heeding his friend and mentor's words, stuck around for some reason, in which then he was turned into a frogman by the wizard and chucked off a cliff.
Jesus.
Yes, so Frog, who I renamed Frank, is actually named Glenn.
So he had a name the whole time.
He had a name the whole time, and it was Glenn. Fucking Glenn. But
This is better than what you give him.
Hey,
At least it
Frank
didn't start with an F.
name. Frank is a fine name, damn it. But anyway, so turns out, yeah, Frank / Glenn / Frog is actually the quote-unquote hero of legend, though all of that is sweet BS, because it's a hero medal that was just acquired by harassing a frog king queen thing, and then the sword got destroyed. So it's not like an Arthurian sword. It's just a fucking sword. A really good sword, but it's just a sword. So anyone could theoretically wield it, though it's right that it's inherited by Citus's fucking squire, I guess. Then after all that drama, you get the flashback of when Citus and Glenn decided to join the army, and then, he decides, yeah, fuck it, I'll do it. So let's go kill a wizard. And thus finally you get to go and try to kill the wizard. You go through the dungeon, hour-long dungeon, where there's three fucking hallways where you take 3 steps and then you get jumped. There's 3 different hallways like that. It's so annoying. There's also a part where you're going through a hall, so you're chasing down the wizard's general, his fat friend that I mentioned earlier. You're chasing him because he's like, fuck. So you're chasing him, and each room that you go into, he's like controlling the traps. Mm-hmm. So in one room, he's like running the conveyor belts and the choppy blades that are coming down. And once you catch up to him, he stops and runs off. Then there's another room where it's just like an empty hallway. You go through the hallway, and he activated a trapdoor, and you fall down. That happens fucking 6 times to me.
Damn.
Because what happens is you go through the hallway, fall through the trapdoor, And in that room, the first time you go through is some enemies, you kill them, and then you have to find the teleport thing out. There are 2 fake teleport things. One is just a save, and then one is the real teleporter. If you come across the fake ones, they turn into 3 of them and start moving really fast, and you have to kill them, preferably with magic, because it's the fastest way.
Right.
I had to do that 6 fucking times before I caught up to the goddamn motherfucker.
Jesus.
And then, like I said, there's 3 different hallways. One gets nullified after you get the guy. But where you inch forward, and technically it's actually 5 different hallways, but the first 2 you don't have to go back to after the first time. But you go like a few feet, fight like 5 enemies, go like a few more feet, 5 more, and you do that 3 times each hallway. Super annoying. And that's about where I got to.
That's insane, dude.
Yeah.
So much stuff happened.
I'm about to fight the wizard. I fought the wizard twice, but the dude has some really fucking strong spells that rock my shit every time. Yeah, so that's the story.
I'm surprised you can remember so much of it.
The pointless things I tend to fill my mind with, like the entire story of what I've done so far in Chrono Trigger. Some things that I already know about Chrono Trigger and the story going forward. I know that killing the wizard is pointless, because he didn't actually summon Lavos. Lavos was always there. Lavos landed in prehistoric times and then just kind of hibernated until the future in which he rose.
Right.
So there's that. You can theoretically fight the boss immediately after you reach the end of time.
Like you have the option?
Yes. So once you hit the end of time for the first time, you'll notice like a bucket off in a corner that sparkles. If you go up to that bucket, at first he'll say, "Hey, don't go there unless you want to just fucking die." Mm-hmm. And then you go up to it again, and it says it's like the rise of Lavos, or like the time of Lavos, 1999. So it's when he first rises in 1999, and you can choose to go and fight him there. On the PC version, because I had left it for so long, I didn't know where I was supposed to go. And I chose to fight Lavos because I was like, I don't know where I'm supposed to go from here. So I fought Lavos and died, and game over. World destroyed.
Right.
Any other questions before I continue on random bits?
Not really.
All right. So since I chose to play the PS1 version on my PS1, and that's what I've been streaming. And it has load times, like a lot of load times.
Mm-hmm.
So you get into a battle, you're waiting about 3 to 5 seconds for the battle to start. You finish the battle 3 to 5 seconds before you can continue moving. You transition between things. The transitions aren't too bad, but you mostly feel it during the battles. You eventually get used to it, but with how pampered we are nowadays, it's very noticeable. And like that shit's been ironed out in like the emulators and the PC port ages ago, but it is still alive and fresh in the original version of the game. It's another silly hair game. Classic
Spiky.
Yep. Classic spiky hair, silly. But there's 2 things that make it a little bit better than Adventures of Mana. One, they actually mention it in game. Like
really?
when you first travel to the past and you go to the castle, they're like, "The fuck's up with you? What's with your hair?" Because you're 400 years in the past, and obviously you're going to look very different. But they actually mention his hair, which I find funny. And it is, of course, the designs are done by Akira Toriyama, or the Dragon Ball Z guy.
Huh.
Yeah, so it's Dragon Ball designs, baby.
That's pretty cool.
Everything is fairly nearby, and you're given a decent direction. Again, like when the queen is kidnapped, she's literally like, you come out of the castle, go through the forest, and off to the left a little bit is the cathedral where she's being kept. So you don't have to go searching too far to find where you need to go.
Right.
Oh, you can avoid battles, at least most of the battles. There are some that when you enter an area, they will automatically trigger. But if it's just like some enemies fucking about on the map, you can avoid them. Though, if you get a buildup of enemies, like say an enemy starts chasing you, for example, and you get caught,
mm-hmm.
any enemy that is within the screen will attack you.
Damn. So you're gonna get rushed.
Oh yeah. Which leads to my next point. Sometimes it can lead to a very fast death. Like I said, with the the wizard I'm fighting right now, he rocks my shit every time because he has super strong spells that can kill you super fast. And if you don't have someone pretty much healing all the time, you are in trouble. It's best to have the AoE cure things that you can have, which, as part of the battle, you can combine different skills together between the characters.
Mm-hmm.
If you've unlocked those combined skills that do like some cool things, like you have a water sword, an ice sword, fire whirl, aura whirl, which does healing to everyone. You have the X slash, some cool combo moves that you can do. And of course, my favorite thing, when in doubt, just use magic. Once you unlock magic, when in doubt, use magic. There are a few enemies that, that doesn't fully apply to. Like, there's an enemy in the dungeon that I'm currently in called the Juggler. You start with magic, then it turns on its magic defense, then you hit it with a physical attack, then it turns on its physical defense, then you hit it with magic, so on and so forth. But for the most part, a lot of enemies will just die if you hit it with a lot of magic. I mean, hey, sometimes simplicity is the best. And then the final bit that I have, besides, ATB, the annoying part is when enemies attack, your ATB bar pauses until they finish the duration of their attack. So it can sometimes be a really long time before you actually can hit back.
Damn.
Yeah. Especially if you keep forgetting that some enemies have combos of their own, that will absolutely wreck your shit.
You just get pummeled.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So there's a combo in the dungeon I'm currently in, between the Juggler, which is the one that keeps toggling between its things, and it's like the Outlaw. If you attack the Outlaw and he doesn't die, he will have a combo counter attack with the Juggler. The Juggler will shoot fire at the Outlaw, and then he'll do a version of your fire whirl at you guys, and it sucks. Yeah. So the final thing that I kind of wanted to mention is it's a smaller, silly thing. So there are animated cutscenes in it, which makes me want a Chrono Trigger anime.
That'd be pretty cool.
Oh yeah, and seeing these cutscenes, you're like, oh hell yeah, this would make a really good anime, and done in this style and with all the cinematography and everything. The anime cutscenes are a little bit undercut by the fact that, so it'll do this like sweeping animated cutscene where I get an early one is where the prehistoric woman, I can't quite remember her name, it's like Ayla or something like that, comes in and fights off the reptoids, and like defeats them and everything. And then immediately after that cutscene, the same scene replays, but in the sprite art. So it kind of undercuts it a little bit. So another example of that is when you give Frank the sword, he has his whole, so it goes into an anime cutscene, and he has his whole He-Man I have the power moment, where like literally like a beam of light shoots into the air, and then he like clefts a mountain in twain to reveal the secret passage that you need to go to.
Right.
Really cool in the anime style. But then immediately after that, same thing happens in the 2D art. So like just on the map, he like pulls out the sword, a beam of light shoots up, and like it goes out to the overworld, and the light goes up, and then he like swipes, and then like the sprite of the mountain just goes open. So I don't know, it's just a weird contrast that keeps happening.
I could see that.
Yeah, I like it. I would highly recommend the game to you if you've never played it.
I probably will try it eventually. It's
available on Steam. Usually goes... Actually, it's on sale right now, I believe.
I honestly think it's on my wish list.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's actually... currently, there's a Square Enix sale going on, so...
Yeah.
But, yeah. It got a sequel called Chrono Cross. That is the next game I'll be playing. But yeah. Any other questions about Chrono Trigger?
No, I'm good.
Yeah. Well, again, I would highly recommend it. It's a fun little RPG. Just go through with a little bit of caution.
Oh yeah.
Because classic RPG situations where you can potentially soft lock yourself.
Right.
Like, I technically, if I had run out of potions and shelters and everything, I could have ended up where I would have gone to walk through that dungeon to get out and buy more, and find that I couldn't get out of the dungeon. So, caution can be your friend sometimes.
Oh, there's no Square Enix sale anymore.
Ah, damn. Yeah. It was like yesterday, too, which sucks.
It's probably the last day.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I tend to catch these things, like, right at the goddamn end, too. Oh, well. It happens. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's still super cheap anyway. I think it's, like, at most $20.
Yeah.
It's $15. So there you go.
That's not bad.
Yeah,
I probably will just wait for it to be on sale again.
Yeah, and then the new release of Chrono Cross is $20. Comes out next week. Anywho, on to the next segment. We need to start wrapping this up a bit. So, what other games have you been playing this week?
So, I've been playing Ghostwire Tokyo.
Yeah.
Played a little bit of Kingdom Hearts recently for the 20th anniversary thing.
Nice.
Honestly, that's really it. I know I try and get into another game, but I'm like, nah, I can't.
Yeah, that's fair. I also haven't really played much at all. PlayStation came out with that new update so that you can like pin games to your home bar now, which is cool.
Yeah, I saw that. So like if you want your favorite games up there, you can.
Yeah. The thing is, it didn't quite work how I was hoping it would. I was hoping that like when you pinned a game, it would like lock to the front of it, but it just means that they'll kind of sift to the bottom of your list.
Oh.
Yeah, so what will happen is like you pin them and they'll stay on your home screen. It's just that they'll end up all down by your library button.
Yeah.
Which is fine. It's just a little bit awkward, but you can hold more games on there now, which is nice.
You can get used to it.
Yeah. Other than that, I don't think I've really played any games on there. I did test out a couple of games to see if my drive was working, because I've been having an issue where I tried to download a game onto one of my thumb drives, and it had a disk write error, and that disk write error has pretty much locked off that drive from me.
Right.
Yeah. So I can't download anything to it. I can do nothing with that drive actually now. I can't format it. I can't delete things off of it. I can't add things onto it. It's locked.
Damn, dude.
Yeah. So, I was like, okay, can I at least play the games that are currently on it? And the answer is yes, I can. So I can play... I tested out Lego Worlds, and I tested out something else. What was it? Well, primarily I just tested out Lego Worlds. It runs a little bit choppy, but it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird. Other than that, I don't think I've played anything else. I watched the latest season of Robot Chicken.
Nice. I haven't watched that in a long time.
Right? It was pretty good. But other than that, I think that is it. I've been streaming, of course, Chrono Trigger. After Chrono Cross week is done, I will go back to Chrono Trigger to finish it, and then once I finish Chrono Trigger, I'll go and finish Chrono Cross. I do not intend to stream the game after Chrono Cross, or the game after Chrono Cross, so I'm good there. So after Chrono Cross week, I can take my time with the games from then on.
Yeah.
Moving on, the games for next week. So I will be playing Chrono Cross, the sequel to Chrono Trigger, set 20 years after Chrono Trigger.
And I'll be playing the new Ghostwire Tokyo game. which
Yeah.
not really an RPG, but you can break the rules sometimes because I really want to talk about it.
Yeah. If I can break the rules to play Lego Star Wars, you can break the rules to play Ghostwire Tokyo. Rules are made to be broken.
Exactly.
But yeah, with that, I believe we are actually at the end now. But yeah, so thank you guys so much for listening, especially since this was a bit of a long episode. If you'd like to get in contact with us, go ahead and send us an email at officialrpghangout@gmail.com. And if you would like to know when episodes go up, follow us on Twitter, the Leo Legionnaire Twitter or the RPG Hangout Twitter, or check out the Leo Legionnaire or RPG Hangout Instagrams, where they also get updates.
It's just...
Yeah. All the links for our social medias and everything are in the description and the show notes below. If you are interested in seeing me stream Chrono Cross, I will be streaming that, after this goes up, this next week, and hopefully making good progress on it. What about you, Nathan? Are you intending to stream some Ghostwire Tokyo?
I mean, I might. I'm having a lot of fun just, like, going through it naturally and taking my time with it, so...
I mean, that's fair. That's part of the reason why I'm not streaming Lego Star Wars.
Yeah. Because, like, I was really, really excited. I mean, maybe eventually, like, playing a harder mode, streaming it, but...
Oh, yeah.
Because, by God, this game...
Well, save it for next week.
Anyway.
We'll have plenty to talk about next week. Anywho.
That's all, folks.
Yeah, so thank you guys so much for joining us. We will see you guys next week. Goodbye.
See ya.